Hello. Today I'm going to start a set of training videos that I'm going to show you some really useful tips for your collections. One of the questions that I get asked a lot is when people are taking their albums apart and now they're moving them to a different album or doing other things with them, they have a lot of trouble taking the stamps out of their albums and then removing the hinges. And I'm going to show you a trick I learned a long time ago from a really good friend of mine who'd been collecting for pretty much his entire life. And he showed me a couple of tricks that I'll show you. One of the first things that you have to do when you're breaking down any collection is you've got to take the stamps out of the album. And what I like to do is I have several pairs of tongs, but I like these L-shaped ones. The ones that have like a curved tip. It gives you a lot of flexibility, and they have a little. I'm going to try and show you here, but they've got a nice curvature to them, and I'll show you why that's going to be important. So the first thing you have to do when you're taking stamps out of the album is first you have to be very careful when you're pulling them off. So what I like to do is just kind of lift. Let me just make sure I can show you here. I lift the bottom part of the stamp, and then I gently pull it off the album. I keep my fingers tight on the hinge that's on the back of the album, and as you can see, this hinge is on there pretty good. So I'm going to put that aside for a minute, and let's take this one off as well. So again, I just grab the stamp by the bottom there, by the hinge, and then if I'm going to do any damage, I do it to the old album, not to the stamp. So I've now got two stamps with a pretty good hinge stuck on them. Let me just readjust the camera here now. Alright. So now what you've got is you've got two stamps with a pretty decent hinge. Let me pull them up on there. So you can see there that's on there pretty good. So the first thing I try and do is just see how bad it really is. And if I try and take that hinge off, I can already hear it kind of trying to tear the paper. So the trick is you take the back of these hinges with that little curved tip on them, and you gently rub back and forth. You don't have to press really hard, but you just kind of keep rubbing. And what that does, it generates a little bit of heat because of the friction, and that's usually enough to break that gum down. It breaks that not the surface tension, but the adhesion on the back of the hinge to the back of the stamp. And if you just keep rubbing, you don't have to rub very hard. And it's important to use that rounded part of the stamp tongs there, because that won't damage the stamp. And if you notice, the surface that I'm rubbing on, this is a thick piece of leather here. I don't know if you can see it. That's what I use on my desk. And it has a little bit of give. You don't want to be doing this on a piece of glass or a piece of hardwood or something. Once you've done that, you just take your stamp tongs and you just gently just push it underneath, and that hinge should come right off. Look at that. There, nice and clean. Leaves no mark on the back of the stamp. I'll show you, we'll do the other one. Now this one I can tell is on there really good, so we might have to rub for a little bit longer, but still, just have to go back and forth. Now, when you do this, you want to try this on some really inexpensive stamps first. You don't want to be doing this on your valuable stamps unless you've had lots of practice. And I'm pretty comfortable with this. I've scanned hundreds of thousands of stamps and taken many collections apart, and I've yet to damage a stamp. But you really do need to practice this. And then, so once we've done that, you can just see it's kind of starting to give now. Not quite ready. So we just keep on rubbing. And again, you don't have to rub really hard. You just have to keep rubbing until that gum breaks down. And we'll try it from this side now. Yeah, it's almost ready. There we go. So that hinge was on there pretty good. And now it's completely off. So we'll go back to the album and I'll show you again. So a lot of these stamps do come off fairly easy, but some of them, especially the older issues that have been there for hundreds of years, well, over 100 anyways, they tend to be on there pretty good. So that's how I use these tongs to break down this collection. Hopefully this tip will help someone out there, but remember what I said though, you really need to practice on inexpensive stamps first, and once you've done it 2 or 3 times, you'll get the hang of it. Stay tuned and we'll have more useful tips for you very soon. Okay, bye for now.